Getting ahead in the complex world of product management sometimes feels like navigating a complex maze. But our seasoned guide today is going to show you the path to follow in order to shift your product career forward and put you ahead of the rest. We're about to delve into the mind of Juan Christen, who's the ex-CPO of William Hill and an expert product guide who turns chaos into clarity for businesses. We're going to be finding out how he did it and why his insights are absolute game changers for your career. Coming up in this episode, acquisition, monetization, retention, and more. Building Brilliant Products 101, communication and product leadership tips, and delivering customer value at its finest. Now, Juan brings a wealth of product management experience, having driven product success in a lot of different companies and over various industries. Now, people talk about the trinity in product management around acquisition, monetization, and retention. And Juan, I know you've worked with this in various industries and lots of different companies. I'd love to get your thoughts on acquisition, monetization, and retention.
You've just reminded me of you've talked about AMA, acquisition, monetization, retention, and actually back when we were building this early days e-commerce platform that we sold as a service, one of the things that we really worked on was exactly that, and we actually called it acquisition, conversion, and retention. So same thing. And look, it was all about the different tools that you had to drive those parts of an e-commerce journey. And I think that what stood then still stands today, but we have such a broader array of tools to drive that. I'm not going to delve into the mechanics of each of those things. I think they're really important areas, but taking a step back, I think what's really, really important, and this is where product comes to the fore, is, and what we need to do as product people, is actually really understanding the value proposition. And the value proposition is a function of understanding the problem we're trying to solve from a customer. Let's be clear, no customer gives a damn about us unless we're solving a problem for them. From an e-commerce point of view, it's getting that item, choosing that item, and it's getting that item to them really quickly. That's the problem we're solving. If it is an online experience, betting and gaming as for example, it is giving them an opportunity to entertain themselves for a fixed period of time and use their entertainment pound or dollar in a wise way. So when we talk about acquisition, monetization, retention, I think the true and the real value that a product person can give is really understanding the triggers for those individual customers that you're targeting at each of those stages. But the key takeaway from that is really understanding what it is your customer wants and getting into that. Then if you can get that right and create that journey into the experience, that the conversion or the monetization becomes more secondary to that, because you've created something that they buy into and want to get involved, and there's all those levers that they move that. And then the last part around retention, 100% is around how usable, how friendly, how engaging, how have you made that experience, how creative have you been about creating an environment that is fulfilling for them to be a part of and come back and use. And I think if you look at all the products that we use as individuals, they make those stages really easy, and then to come back, it's not a chore. You're taking away the pain of experience and dealing with them. And I think as a product person, that's what you really need to focus and delve into, and use the tools at your hands to do that. Understand the customer, use your UX and UI to bring that to life, and then create experiences that are engaging and usable. And the most important one is, it's not a one-way street. It's not a funnel. It's a loop. How do you get the loop back? How do you loop them back into that experience? And what are the triggers that are going to bring them back and what will make them use it again? And every different product's going to have different points or different measures of that, but they're going to be able to do that and understand what their needs are.
So what are your thoughts in dealing with different stakeholders and the challenges of being in product management? What makes a great product management team or great product leader?
I think you've just touched on the heart of the challenge of being a product person. I think that's and I had to go here because there is no perfect answer, but at the end of the day, we're all people and we're all trying to do different things. And I think that's at the real heart of what we need to do as a product person. And one of the things we were talking about the last time was what it creates to create a great product team, what it takes to be a great product person. And I think at the heart of it, because we are that conduit between different parts of the business, communication and the ability to articulate is really important. And through that, you start to bring people on the journey of what it is you want to do, what it is you can do. So in that specific instance where you have a situation where you've got an idea or a number of an idea for a product without being fully brought to life, that's of course going to inspire sales, because sales love a new thing to sell, love a new thing to engage with. And I think what that highlights is, as a product person, the need to spend more time with your sales team, more time with your sales environment. And one of the things that I have done throughout my career as I've become more senior is really encourage my product teams to spend much more time with the commercial side of the business, because they are the ones that are speaking to the customers. They are the ones that are engaged with the customers. They are the ones that are the front of the problems that we face. And look, I actually believe a product person should spend a third to a half of their time with the commercial side of the business, because they get under the skin of what's needed. It also creates great opportunities to head off challenges like that before they arise. And a specific situation like that, I think a basic chatbot at that time was probably really important. But what are the complexities of doing that? And what was the exact problem that M&S wanted to solve with that chatbot? And actually, by spending time with the commercial team and spending time and being a part of that conversation, you can narrow down to what it is exactly they were going to solve. So you might actually end up being able to do a product that is not this big, but a product that is this big, because you've really been able to refine down to the piece that's doing it. So all of a sudden, you've made something that's impossible to slightly more achievable. And actually focusing on that achievable element becomes really quite empowering. And it also, in the same breath, helps you by building the relationship with the commercial side of the business, take them on the journey of what we can or cannot do, and builds a foundation. And this is probably the most important part for product for me, is the ability to say no, and constructively say no around things. And that only comes from having a strong, confident, relied on relationship with your partners within the business, which is engineering, which is commercial, which is marketing, which is finance. All of those things is building those strong relationships. So I would love to give a perfect answer. There is no perfect answer, but it comes from setting the groundwork and establishing a great environment to have proper discussions around what you can or cannot do.
Juan, help me understand your experience of working with senior leadership teams and C-suites, specifically around how they understand or don't understand products. What insights could you share?
That's an interesting minefield. And look, I'm going to start with what I said about sales before. I think if I was to say it again and again, it's communication. You have to focus on how you're taking those individuals on the journey of what it is you want to do. And you need to do it in their language, and you need to understand the problems that they face. It's the same for that sales manager or that salesperson as it is for the chief commercial officer or the CEO. What is it that they want? They want to deliver value to their stakeholders. They want to deliver value to meet the budget that they need to meet. And what is your part of that? Well, your part of that is creating that product or enhancing that product that is going to deliver value to those customers that deliver those revenues to us. So it's actually quite simple in those terms. So if you can start the conversation with that and say, look, I'm not your adversary. I'm party to you doing that. I'm party to you getting there. So the conversation I want to have with you is around how we focus the work that we're going to do in order to deliver those budgetary needs that we have. And if you start the conversation there, you can start to and get on the same page with that. You can then start to talk about the levers that you have to drive that value for the customers. When you start to drive value for those customers, naturally, along comes the revenues, along comes the fees. So it's about creating that commitment and that value to start off with. And then as a product person, it's reinforcing that, or a product leader, it's reinforcing that, and ensuring you're creating the space and the understanding for your product teams to be able to deliver against that. And what I mean by that is actually enabling a good product person to get out there to spend the time with either do it or with the UX and UI resources to understand what it is we're doing for the customer, and have the time to build a picture of how we're improving that user journey, getting the customer from A, B to C, and then translating that in a way that is deliverable by the engineering and the engineering stacks that we have. And I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition, because actually your ability to work with engineering is so important to ensure that they're informed enough to make the right technology decisions to give you the stack that you have. And you can see how that initial top table relationship really drives that ability to have the space in order to have those conversations, to create the great value-driven work that delivers that thinking, etc. And it becomes a circle. And so, to answer your question as finely as I possibly could, it is absolutely about building confidence in your CEO, your CCO, that you understand the problems that they're trying to solve, and you bring to the table a toolkit that's going to enable them to solve them.
As we wrap up, a lot of people who run product ops don't, let's say, operate or cooperate with senior product leadership outlooks in mind. And what are your thoughts on how to bridge this? And maybe vice versa.
Part of that is, as a product leader's responsibility to ensure product ops can do the right thing, is actually about framing and clearly understanding what it is the product does. And at its heart, product realizes the value of the problems you're trying to solve for customers. And I will keep saying that, because I think that's really important. And how do we do that? Well, we create great experiences for those customers, whether it's purchasing an item, whether it's playing a game, whether it is ordering food, whether it is reading content, and all of that is around creating great experiences for customers that they want to go to. And that it's not just digital, it's the physical as well. And every one of us can name great physical products or great experiences that we want to go back and use because they fulfill us in a certain way. And I think that is at the heart of product, is how do we understand what those fulfilling experiences and journeys are? How do we articulate what they are? And how do we make sure that we deliver those as a company? And that's kind of what you want to measure. What product ops do is they become the housekeeper, the householder of those elements, and ensure that the frameworks and the understanding that our product people follow are in place and are usable. And the most important part of that is, actually, as a product person, we want to get our stakeholders off our back so we can do great things. If you want to get stakeholders off your back, communicate to them, help them to understand what you're doing, and they will give you the space to do it. And that's where we often fail as product people, is our ability to communicate and be measured and provide the ROI on stuff. And it's often a failure to do simple things like, I'm going to spend X thousand on building this part of the product. Well, what am I delivering with that X thousand? What is my ROI of those things? We need an element of commerciality in what we do, so we can actually show how we're providing value to the business. You get good at that, you'll get left alone, and actually product will be pushed to the fore of what we do. And I think that's the journey as product people within organizations we're still going on, and still actually starting to really bring to life within organizations.
Now that you've been equipped with Jean's insights, you can confidently navigate the maze of product management, just like an experienced guide leading you to success. To stay updated with Jean, be sure to follow him on LinkedIn. I think he's really great. He's just a really great guy. If you really enjoyed this episode, I think you'll love the recent episode we did with Sean O'Neill, who's an ex-Amazonian and ex-Tesconian, who gives you some of the best advice I've heard on product career progression. Enjoy. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm looking forward to having you back with us on Product Team Success, brought to you in partnership with our friends at Amplitude. Until next time, from me, Ross Webb, bye for now.